The second time in 3 weeks you didn't start. What happened?
It happens.
What happened?
I ain't gonna get into detail. Like I said, shit happens.
Why? Why, Abdul? Like, for
Ask me the same question. I just answered.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Dan Lagustin, and this is Multi-Hyphenate AF. Wow. Man, what a shame, what a shame, what a shame. Abdul Carter came into the league with so much promise. And third pick in the NFL draft. And 2020 hindsight, right? I'm going to try to make this video not so 2020 hindsighty. But how can you not? How can you not? I look at every NFL team as if they are an organization. And within that organization, I see every NFL player as if they are a stock. Anytime I'm betting on a player, a prop bet, that's a stock. I'm looking at that stock, and in my mind, I'm like, that stock is going to hit in this game, and it's gonna rise. That stock right there, I'm going to do the under. I don't think that stock is going to do well. The defense is too good, etc. Cam Ward's not playing that well. Travis Hunter's injured. Will Campbell is injured. Mason Graham's doing all right. Ashton Genty, his team is struggling. And I can keep going down this list, but the number 3 pick was Abdul Carter. And Abdul Carter, his stock is dropping. Interestingly enough, upon him getting benched in this game, he actually got his first full sack in this game. So maybe he's been disciplined enough and embarrassed enough and humbled enough in the past 3 weeks since he's been disciplined twice and benched twice that maybe now he gets it, but it doesn't seem like it just based on how he handled himself in the press conference. And I wouldn't be surprised if this has a lot to do with the way that he came into the league with all the NIL money. I think one thought that I had is this can't be brand new. This gotta maybe have something to this has. I wouldn't be surprised if this is something that he was doing in college. You don't get to the NFL, the greatest level of professional football, and then start showing up late to practice. You don't just show up like that and do that. So whatever kind of conversation he was having with Dayball, some kind of precedence was set to where he felt like he can just fuck off and show up late and do what he wants. And when you ask me, I almost feel like the Giants shouldn't have drafted him. And that's 2020 hindsight of me to say, but no, they had 2 to 3 really great edge rushers already on their D-line. And maybe what was going on is they were getting ready to trade Thibodeau or Burns and, trying to, get a rookie contract on their slate. Maybe that's what was going on. Maybe that's why they drafted him. But it just trips me out, the fact that this is the guy we're talking about. Really, we're talking about him because he was the number 3 pick in the draft. And, he came in with all this promise and all this hype. And now he's doing what he's doing and not performing. He has 1.5 sacks through the entire season. He's been playing all year. And he hasn't been performing. I'm going to scroll down this list. There were 4 edge rushers that were drafted in the first round. And the 26th pick was James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee. Went to Atlanta. And I remember when he got drafted, people were like, oh, wow, what is this? Atlanta shocked everybody this entire draft and last year as well. Seems like Atlanta has a knack for doing that. But James Pierce Jr. is so far the only edge rusher out of the 4 in the first round that's actually been balling. If I'm not mistaken, he's already got 5 or 6 sacks. He's tied for 40th right now in the NFL. And Abdul Carter, let's just see where he's ranked. They don't even give a number. He's ranked like 150 plus. There aren't even 150 edge rushers who start in the NFL. You got 2 on every single team. There's 32 teams, so you're looking at 64 edge rushers, and he's at 150. He's got 17 solo tackles. He's ranked at 150 plus. That means higher than 150. That means he's just up there and they're just throwing a range out. Sacks, 150 plus. He's just up there. Forced fumbles, 150 plus. That means he has 0 forced fumbles. He has 1 fumble recovery, and he's going out sad. This is looking really bad right now. And I guess really what I'm going to come at this and say there's been a lot of reports as far as what happened. I saw a report that has kind of been refuted. One of the reports that's been refuted now was somebody was saying that he got caught watching pornography on his phone in the facility. But then, there was also another tweet that came out later saying, that was a lie. And, of course, they said before that, he just showed up late, fell asleep during a meeting, etc. Here's what I want to make about this. Here's what I want to say. This is making me also think about Brandon Ayuk. And I want to say this. 2 things. It's going to maybe sound a little controversial and sad, but I'm going to say it. I don't think young black men tend to always know how to handle their money. I don't know if this has anything to do with his family, his upbringing. I don't know what his situation is, mother, father, wise, etc. Maybe this has a lot to do with NIL, him coming into the league, having already had money, feeling like he's already accomplished. Maybe that means when you come into the league, the vets can't really say nothing to you. Maybe you feel like you're better than them already. This guy had such balls on him. And maybe I shouldn't call it balls. Maybe it's just something else, But he decided to, ask Lawrence Taylor to unretire his number. And this is where I'm going to get at, man. I just made a video talking about Jackson Dart and how the NFL stands for not for long. Listen, unless Abdul Carter starts popping off here and getting a sack a game, every single game, he's not going to be in the NFL beyond his rookie contract. Whoever the new coach that they bring in to New York, if they don't roll with Kafka, whoever the new coach is, he's not going to be putting up with that. These coaches sometimes have to make an example out of you simply because they got to set the tone for how the new rookies come in. I bring in a new rookie, I can't have that rookie seeing this other guy who's been here for 3 years now. He's fucking off. He's just taking our money and whatever. But ultimately, for some reason, it seems like I don't want to say black. I don't want to make this about African Americans. I guess it's easy to say that right now because Brandon Ayuk is also going through a scenario where he's fucking his money off. He's fucking his opportunity off. Excuse my language, but it feels like the best way for me to express this. It just feels like Abdul Carter specifically doesn't understand the opportunity that is in front of him. You just got drafted into the NFL. This is every young man's dream scenario. And you got drafted the 3rd pick. And this is what you're doing. To me, this says something about James Franklin as well. What did James Franklin say to Dayball when they spoke to James Franklin about Abdul Carter? What did he say to convince Dayball that Abdul Carter is the guy and don't look at anybody else? I think the writing is on the wall. If you come into the league with a sense of intention and purpose, and you come into the league understanding how fleeting the opportunity is to be in the NFL, then you don't show up like this. I had a conversation with somebody in my comments not too long ago where they were talking about how I think it had to have something to do with Mark Stoops getting fired, and I mentioned how he got fired and got $37 million in a buyout. And I said, it's really trippy how in college football these coaches can become millionaires, multi-millionaires, and have their lives changed, yet they don't change anybody else's lives. None of the students' lives, none of the student athletes' lives who come through that program, none of their lives are getting changed. But these coaches are getting these huge buyouts. And the person went back and forth with me talking about, you don't know that they changed everybody's life and everybody doesn't make it to the NFL. So you can't say that he's not changing anybody's life. And I said, that's exactly my point. Everybody doesn't make it to the NFL. So you should be able to see and you should be able to gauge who's the best coach for this opportunity before I'm giving them all this money. Because whoever this coach is, they're going to have the biggest impact on this program. They're the ones that get to talk to these kids. I don't give a fuck who the athletic director is. The coach talks to these young men every day. And so to see Abdul Carter start his career like this, I don't know how he turns this around, because there's not a clear voice in that locker room right now who's the main leader as far as the head coach goes. I mean, you see the way Dayball was behaving with Jackson Dart. He didn't give a fuck if Jackson Dart lived or not. He just wanted Jackson on that field. He didn't care nothing about no concussion protocol, nothing. I just need you on that field, Jackson. And so if that's your head coach, I mean, you're in trouble, just based on how he clearly has no sense of boundaries. He's only thinking about the results. He's not thinking about anybody's life, anybody's longevity, anybody's health, anybody else's wealth. Just results. Just trying to keep my job. Just do what you need to do to help me keep my job. I'll say this before I get out of here. One thing I thought about was, I thought to myself how interesting it is that when the draft rolls around, we automatically start hearing about who's going to be the guy, who's the number one player and top 5. We start seeing the mock drafts, and it'd be really trippy when we actually see some of the mock draft stuff really pan out. Like, nobody guessed Travis Hunter was going to get drafted by the Jaguars at the second. Nobody guessed that. Some people just had Travis Hunter going number 2, though, to the Browns. But nobody guessed the Jaguars are going to come in here and, But they all figured that Cam Ward 1, Travis Hunter 2, ultimately, Abdul Carter 3, Will Campbell 4, 5. It's slipping. I don't quite remember who was 5 right now. 5 was, excuse me, I'm sorry. Oh, Ashton Genty. Mason Graham, excuse me. And so I just think I thought to myself, it's really trippy how Abdul Carter still managed to be number 3 simply based on his talent. A lot of people have been making a lot of, and I've talked about it too, how Shador clearly must not have handled himself in the pre-draft process well. And had he handled that, he would have probably went higher because people would have got to know him better and people would have liked him more. And one of the main things that I've said and multiple people have said is the only time they let you get away with bad energy, cockiness, or something that just kind of doesn't align with the team's philosophy or where the team wants to be or somebody that the team wants to bring in is when you have ridiculous talent, ridiculous skill set. And it's just trippy to me how you can get all the way to the NFL and these huge organizations that put all this money into these stocks can still fuck up. And they'll still make a decision that's based on pure talent as opposed to character. And a guy like James Pierce Jr. ends up going 26th. And here's the trippy part. Last thought, I'm out of here. I said 4 edge rushers went in the first round. Abdul Carter at number 3. And then you had Mykel Williams at 11. And then you had Shamar Stewart at 17. And then you had James Pierce Jr. at 26. Shamar Stewart is not even on the field right now. He's in injury reserve. Mykel Williams, injury reserve. And then you got James Pierce Jr., who's the only one right now who's balling from that first round. And then you got Abdul Carter, who hasn't been doing much of anything. And so what I'm making of that is that of the 4 edge rushers that got drafted, 2 are already injured. And that is literally the process of how some of these guys do not tend to last in the NFL, whether it be because of injury, whether it be because of attitude, whether it be because of energy, whether it be because of fill in blank here. It doesn't matter. Ultimately, the NFL stands for not for long for a reason. And if Abdul Carter continues this way in the press, if he continues to show up late or act like he doesn't care, underperform, he won't make it past his rookie contract more than likely. What's crazy is a great edge rusher can make the biggest impact on a game that you don't expect. A great edge rusher makes your linebackers better. A great edge rusher makes the cornerbacks better. A great edge rusher can get you the ball back when you least expected it. And now you have a chance to go win the game. A great edge rusher is Myles Garrett. Where's Abdul Carter in that conversation? People were talking about Abdul Carter's probably going to be a Rookie of the Year candidate. No, that's not happening. At this rate, he'd be lucky to still be on the Giants after 2 years. I won't be surprised if he does this. If he does this again next year, I won't be surprised if they trade him, get rid of him, cut him, something. That's the whole point of having a rookie deal, is so that they don't lose that much money in that stock. You dig? If you got to this part of the video, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you genuinely, because you could be anywhere in the world right now. You could be watching any other video on YouTube right now, but for some reason you're watching mine, and I appreciate you. And I'd appreciate you 10 times more if you decided to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.